Hello, Basic Brian here. Today I'm going to talk about Taylor Swift's The Tortured Poets Department album that came out within the last 2 months or so. Been waiting to do this thing for a while. Today I'm just going to basically talk about some of the themes of this album, maybe double album that came out about 2 months ago. The manuscript edition, I have not heard the anthology edition too thoroughly, maybe a little bit, but definitely not too much. But I've been listening to this pretty consistently since it kind of came out. And I just want to talk about a few of the themes and some general superficial thoughts about it. Maybe this is kind of an impressions video. So we got Taylor Swift and this double white LP, or you can buy the CD, or you can get a streaming version and get the anthology if you'd like. But this is a very poetry, feelings centric album, and poetry is different than music and pop music. I guess lyrics are kind of connected to that, and this thing actually has a poem starting it and a poem ending it in the liner notes if you buy the physical version. And the first one is actually by somebody with a lot of cred, Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac, kind of a poetic soul of the band in a way. Very famous for writing many verses to some songs on Tusk. I can't remember which ones, but I think it was Sarah maybe, but yeah, but she got Taylor Swift got Stevie Nicks to maybe do that because she gets kind of called out in the last song on this album, technically, I suppose. And so what is poetry about? It's about these feelings, and it's kind of a breakup album in a way, very strongly so. Probably 89% of it, I would say. And based on some of the lyrics in the poetry, you get some things, a lot of metaphors and simile, and some court justice kind of things. And I guess poetry is kind of about getting that passionate feelings out. So that's an interesting thing. And if you think about the title of the Tortured Poets Department, it's very similar to Dead Poets Society, in my opinion, the 1989 movie. One of my favorite movies, but just a side note. And let's see. So this is the manuscript version, file name, the manuscript. You got 17 tracks, mixed by Serban Gayane. Never heard of that individual, but definitely got the usual suspect producers, Jack Antonoff and Aaron Dessner. The first one from Fun and Other Bands, and the second one from The National and Andy Darling. Very cool band, very popular. I've seen them before, many years ago. So when we're talking poetry, that's feelings and emotions expressed in verse, and it's very rhythmic. You got focus on syllables, maybe rhyme if you want to think about that, meter. But when you add pop music to that, you definitely still have that, but poetry written is definitely different from pop music, but lyrics are still a very personal and emotional thing, but you gotta match it with the music. And I noticed that this album has a lot of handwritten presentation and certain points as the most genuine thing, and you're trying to go for a personal and authentic thing with that. And in the CD version, I got a handwritten version of Down Bad, and in the vinyl you get handwritten versions of, what was it, So Long London, and there was another one, I can't remember. It's not Down Bad, but it's an early song on the album. But this is definitely a breakup album about romantic relationships and sexual relationships, so it's going to be very personal and passionate, and you're going to be using hyperbole and metaphor, simile, let's see, yeah, also wanted to mention that, so we got this authentic kind of thing going. The way I'm talking, I'm probably not being very artistic or passionate, but more analytical at the moment, and I may seem a little autistic, but this is maybe an analytical version of myself on a thing, so it's probably not exactly apples to oranges, but bear with me. But on the cover, we got Taylor Swift lying down, seemingly, and there's almost like a phantom on it, like over here. That's pretty cool. You got some light, and so yeah, that's a pretty cool cover. Kind of goes with the theme of the album. I like it. I dig it. So, and also with poetry, I just want to mention repetition is another element. You notice that in Bob Dylan, it becomes kind of funny when you use it in certain ways. Amusing and clever, or that kind of thing, or just kind of like, sometimes it evokes a laugh, sometimes it just tries to draw a point. And I really like that in the title track of the album, that she name drops Dylan Thomas and Patti Smith in the Chelsea Motel. We're modern idiots. That just really evokes Bob Dylan to me. And there's also like repetition in that song that I really like, that I find interesting. Makes me chuckle in a way that reminds me of Bob Dylan. And also with this Tortured Poets department, you got vulgarity with emotions, an intense connection with poetry. So it may not be the highest form of poetry or anything, but it expresses extreme emotions and feelings. If you say fuck it or whatever. I'm trying to think of some lyrics of Down Bad, which says the F word a lot, but that's definitely a part of poetry. And I'm just gonna point out some themes and lines that kind of stick out to me. 2 graves, 1 gun. I like that from So Long London. The little alliteration there. It says a lot with few words. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool in a pop song, in my opinion. 2 graves, 1 gun. A little depressing and passionate. And one of my favorites is But Daddy, I Love Him, I think it's called. And I just really like the delivery of the lyrics. It's kind of in a monotonous way, but it's very cool, and there's some subversive, I'm sick of what these people think of me kind of elements in the song. Vipers dressed in empath's clothes, God save the most judgmental creeps who say they want what's best for me. Sanctimoniously performing soliloquies I'll never see. So that's some interesting stuff there. I'm having his baby. No, I'm not, but you should see your faces. Little reverse there for the expectations of the person she's talking to in the song. And Fresh Out the Slammer seems to be a more song for her than a tough guy or crazy guy that she's going after. How the way the lyrics are, I did my time, as she says, and she's fresh out the slammer. And that could be a metaphor for these bad relationships that she's talking about throughout the album. And I also notice, as you look at the cover, there's lots of themes of spirit and mist and ghost, gloomy places, London. And she also has a lot of metaphors as a product for herself. Put Me on a Shelf and Clara Bow, the last song, or even the littlest man who's ever lived. She depicts being put on a wall as a poster. And you got a lot of drug metaphors on this album as well. Florida in general and escapism. That song is really exemplifying that, and it's very anthemic. Wait out the shitstorm. Home's really only a town you're a guest in. That's some good lines there. Well, me and my ghost had a hell of a time. Florence and the Machine helped with that track. And there's a lot of Christ metaphors as well. Sometimes not well done or kind of puzzling what they mean, but they're definitely on this album. Roll the Stone Away. They're gonna crucify me anyway. Guilty as Sin, the track. And here's a little more of that fame thing, or being the famous person she is, the most popular pop artist. She's drunk on my own tears, isn't that what they all say? And I put narcotics in all of my songs. All right, so yeah, would have died for your sins. Instead, I just died inside. Forget you, but I will never forgive you, from the smallest man who ever lived, which is basically the end of the album in a way. The next song is a happier song, The Alchemy, which has a really cool chorus, but yet it's still kind of mellow and driving. I really love this song. It's really good. And Clara Bow ends the album as well with some Stevie Nicks and Clara Bow, the silent actress, which I don't know about, but she was the it girl for a while. And she has a positive message that she's she used to be Taylor Swift, but she has more edge now, which is basically the last lines of the penultimate song, or the ultimate song, because the last song on the album is a bonus track. So yeah, the manuscript. These are just some rough thoughts I had about Taylor Swift's The Tortured Poets Department. As somebody who likes indie rock and indie pop, I like the song structures a lot, but I do enjoy the album as well. I've been listening to it pretty consistently. I can't even say that right now. Pretty consistently since it came out. And maybe I'll continue on as she keeps going on, but there's a little ambivalence about it because she's so big, but I've definitely given it the time, and maybe I want to move on, but those are just some themes that I've noticed on the Taylor Swift album, The Tortured Poets Department, TTPD. All the best, just some comparisons from a basic Brian. Cheers.